did here. We got a team. One of our teams is with a physician who specializes, in these types of injuries. He can look at the parameters of an injury, and based on the autopsy, that was performed yesterday. Do you know how an autopsy works?
They search and find.
They do
like an examination or try to find out.
Without getting into graphic details, they basically dissect the body, okay, and they look at every aspect of the body, from bruising. They photograph. They look at bruising. They run blood toxicology for drugs. When it comes to cranial injury, a head, they'll of course look at the skull. They look at the size of the brain, they measure it, they weigh it. Have you ever seen photographs of what something looks like, underneath flesh, where it's bruised or there's a clot?
Yeah.
Okay, it's very prominent.
Okay.
The entire process is very, very exact. They've been doing it for years. Okay, and I'm not going to go into forensics 101 with you with an autopsy, but they're able to tell down to the minutest detail the extent of the injury, what could cause it, what couldn't cause it. The brain sits in a liquid mass. Okay, so when a person gets a concussion, you heard that term, what happens is the brain swells and there's fluid around the brain and it expands, and that's why it makes your head really ache. Okay, literally it swells. When the brain is also injured, it can bleed, and in an autopsy, the blood forms at the point of injury, and you can tell based on the bone, the damage, because a skull fracture literally means this bone here is broken.
Broken?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And it's not that easy, especially in an infant or a younger child, to break bone with mild impact, because the bone is soft. Okay. Okay. So it's very flexible. In fact, the bone hasn't, the skull hasn't formed, so there's cracks where it floats and it moves. Okay. When you hit something, in your little physics lesson, there's a cause and an action. Okay. So, like if you're sitting in a car and you get rear-ended, what happens? Your body flings forward.
And it goes back.
Correct. It's the same thing the head does in the brain. Okay. When you're hit back a certain way, the head flings forward. Okay. And what does that do? It shifts, and that'll cause bruising on the brain. Point of impact, where the brain gets hit, is really going to be prominent. Okay. And again, we're in a grow shop, but we've examined photographs, and so is the doctor, and they've been at the autopsy. And it's obvious that, there's an injury to the back of the head. Okay, which is consistent with kind of what you said. However, two things that are inconsistent. Okay. The extent of the injury, under no circumstances, can be caused by that minor of an event. Okay. Falling backwards.
Falling backwards.
Okay. Secondly, the front of the brain is also slightly bruised. Okay. So there's a whiplash effect. Okay. Thirdly, I made a comment to you, I don't know, somewhere earlier today, where I described the fall or the injury being like somebody being dropped from the second floor of a building. That's still the extent of the injury with a second independent opinion from an expert. Okay. Okay. So here's what Sean had to do.
In addition, Wendy doesn't recall him falling down and hitting his head.
Okay.
You were saying that she wouldn't pick him up.
Yeah.
She doesn't recall it at all. Not that she doesn't recall, she says it didn't happen.
Okay. Because when it happened,
or
it could have happened maybe earlier.
Look, here's what we still believe that you're right on the cusp of really telling us what happened here. But you're reluctant because you're still scared, you're still worried. And again, please, don't, I know you are, don't take us as being amateurs at this. We've done it, and we know, we're always careful when we talk to people, because we don't want people facilitating stories just to make us happy. It's not, it really isn't, I mean, we've done this numerous times, and people have told us their most uncomfortable secrets, and they've confided in us. And we know the difference between somebody telling us something. It's almost like a child. If you interview a child, you got to really be careful, because they're so impressionable. They'll tell you what you want to hear. Adults sometimes are almost in the same way, because I know you want to do the right thing, and I know in your mind you're a smart person. You're still trying to just kind of figure out what's a plausible explanation here. But I just want to keep emphasizing to you that when you tell us something, we can, because of the situation and because of the medical processes involved and the science involved, we can walk out of here and confirm it, or tell you, no, that's not what happened.
Okay.
And remember when I told you that every time you do that, it takes a little bit of your credibility away, okay? Other fact is that, Gwendy, okay, says flat out that didn't happen.
Okay.
Okay. You're painting yourself in a little bit of a guilty corner here for some reason. Please let me finish. Because you got that far and you told us, yes, something happened. And I'm going to tell you that we do still believe that something happened. But we do believe that the event occurred, again, I'm going to tell you, not intentionally, but out of frustration, out of disappointment, out of something that caused it, okay? And those are all viable excuses, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's not, premeditation. You've heard that term. You didn't come to work that day with the intent of hurting anybody. You didn't.
No, I didn't.
Okay, I know that.
Yeah.
Or what might have happened was done out of frustration, and you didn't intend on a serious injury to come of it. And we know that too, right?
Yeah.
All of us as parents, Sean, and Sean probably even more so than me, because my kids are teenagers now. But I could remember as a father when they were younger getting frustrated, and it wasn't just one thing. It was, they were both only about a year apart, so they're both, they were still young. I mean, they were both kind of growing up at the same time. I didn't have 8 of them to deal with. I only had 2, or I didn't have 4. I had 2, and that was frustrating enough. Trying to load them, unload them, get them in the snow. So I was telling him today that I don't miss these days where trying to get them both in the snowsuits. They're both screaming. They're both this. If one was well, the other one was sick. It kind of multiplies, I think, because here not only is all that happening, but you've got your personal issues. You're tired. You work. You've got personal problems. Whatever. All that kind of multiplies, and you lose it at some point. You really just do. Everybody at some point just has it, whatever, and it's not intentional. It's not. It just happens. People just snap.
Mm-hmm.
And they come to that point where they boil over, and it happens. We've got this narrowed down to a very, very tight time frame. And there's only one thing here, is that something happened where you got frustrated, aggravated, whatever, and I'm telling you, it was not intentional. It was an accident. But it wasn't him flipping backwards. It wasn't. You know that. We know that. The forensic scientists are telling us that. Wendy tells us that what you told us didn't happen, okay? You need to clear the air here and tell us. You really do. And I know you've been sitting in here thinking about it. You can't manipulate out of this. You really can't. You just need to come forward and tell us. You really do. Something frustrated you. Something happened, okay? I know you didn't know the extent of Ben's injury, I know you didn't know that. And it's been eating you up these last few days. I know it has. I mean, I could tell it in your eyes. And you're going like this today, right? One minute you're feeling like, I'm done with this. And then, you know, we just come back here and we say, look, you're not. You're not, because this is what we found out. This is fact. Okay, you really need to just tell me the truth. Please, no denials.
I
Please.
know, I'm not, like I said, that's the only thing I could possibly think of. I never took any frustration out on any of my kids, ever. I never laid a finger, nothing.
We're not saying
I know, I'm
Melissa,
just-
we're not saying you hit him, okay? We're not saying that. We're saying that perhaps you took him, you put him in a chair a little too hard. I mean, he was whatever. He might have hit his head on something. What you're describing to us did not happen. Mathematically, it couldn't have happened, and physics-wise, it couldn't have happened. Something else happened.
We're thinking like something happened, and doing it normally, everything would be fine. Like, if George was a baby and I put him in a chair, he'd go in the chair, he'd go to sleep. But maybe on this instance, maybe the chair rocked back, there was a wall behind the chair, it rocked back, he tumbled back and hit his head on the ground. There was something that happened, and we know.
But where he was sitting and where I placed him, it was kind of by the changing table and the garbage can. And when I was taking him out, I probably, because I didn't stand behind him, I was on the side grabbing him, and like Case probably hit his head on the back of the changing table. That's the side of the changing table. That's the only thing I can think of right now then, is that he must have hit his head on the changing table, behind the changing table.
You would know if he hit his head or not. This injury, it was like my partner said, it's like someone getting dropped off a second story. The baby would have started to cry. It would have happened right when this whole thing went down. It would have happened right before it, I think. You would have known, you know exactly when the incident took place. You're making yourself look real bad. We're trying to think that you didn't intend on this injury to happen. You didn't intend on this to happen. But for whatever reason, it did happen, okay? We need to know, and we need you to tell us, and you need to be honest to help yourself out here. You should be honest with us. What are you most afraid of? Just tell me about this whole situation.
That
Be honest.
that it could be my fault.
Okay.
I just don't know how.
Okay, but
it
what
could
are
be
you
my
most
fault.
afraid of if it is your fault?
Everyone won't talk to me.
Who?
Their coworkers.
Co-workers? Why?
Family. I don't know.
You think that they never made a mistake in their life?
I just have a gut feeling it's like it should be my fault. Ever since I got a piece of paper, I just felt like, what did I do wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying to think thoroughly, and that's why I haven't been able to sleep much, because I'm trying to think, what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
Or what did Nancy do?
Right. What are you most afraid of if you did something? That your coworkers won't talk to you?
And then I probably
Come on,
would get a fine or go to jail or something.
Well,
I don't
Melissa,
know.
if you didn't, our goal is if you didn't intend on causing pain to somebody, we wouldn't want you to go to jail. It's like that whole accident theory. If it was a complete accident, even if it was something out of frustration, and maybe you put him in a chair too hard and the chair flipped over, we need to know, but we need to know now. You're worried about your co-workers? Give me a fucking break. This kid's dead. Fuck your co-workers, okay? I mean...
And your family's always gonna be there for you.
Always.
They're not gonna think anything less of you, because they know you as an individual, they know you as a person. Who the fuck, you know, if these guys, how about this? If they're thinking, if you don't clarify this, then what the fuck do you think your co-workers are gonna be thinking this whole time anyways? But if you bring this out, we know. There's no doubt about it. It was an accident. And tell me that they've never erred in judgment. Come on.
That should be the last thing that you're worried about.
Absolutely.
That's the last thing you should worry about. Everything else, like I said, if stuff was an accident or you didn't intend for Ben to get hurt severely, we don't think you did. We thought maybe you got frustrated, maybe something happened, you dropped. We don't know exactly what, but we know it happened within minutes from the time he went unresponsive, and we know you were the only one in the room, and we know it's something he can't cause by himself. So Melissa, when this is all said and done, we have to clear this with the state's attorney to say what our opinion is and what happened here, and they're gonna ask us, well, is this a person who's sorry for what they did? Is this a person who was cooperative with you? All this stuff's gonna come into effect, and we're gonna be able to say at the end of this, Melissa was very cooperative with us. She talked to us and she told us the truth. By her telling us the truth, we were able to get some resolution to this case and some closure to the family. We'll go tell the people at your work that this guy, whatever you want us to tell them, that's the least of your concerns right now. But we know for a fact this happened moments before he lost consciousness, and we know you were the only one in the room. So please, tell us what happened. Please don't make us drag everything out of you, because it makes it seem like you're being deceitful to us.
When I took him out, I watched him, he was at the edge, and I heard his head hit the back of the table, because I didn't fully put him down. It kind of almost like slipped when it dropped him, and he hit the chair. And then I heard it, and he didn't, it was fine though, and I made sure of it.
The changing table?
No, the wooden chair, the wooden chairs.
Like the adult wooden chairs? Or
The
baby
chair.
Yeah. Do they have little straps in them?
He hit the back of it.
You hit the back of with his head? That's okay. It's all we've been trying to get from you for this whole time. I know you're upset, okay? I know that you're upset about this, Melissa. But stuff like this happens all the time. You didn't want intent for this little boy to die, right? And who knows? He could have had some pre-existing condition. You know, who knows? But
when you put him in the chair, were you holding him?
No.
Okay.
I just picked him up and put him in.
Where was he when you picked him up?
He was on the floor.
On the floor? And why did you pick him up?
Because I just wanted to put him in there and get him a snack right away.
Okay. And did you drop him? Is that what you said, or?
When I took him out of the chair.
Okay, so you put him in the chair to get him a snack.
Yeah.
And then when you picked him up, you dropped him?
It kind of slipped, yeah.
He slipped?
Yeah.
Okay, and he hit his head on the back of the top part of the chair?
Yeah.
And did he yell or scream? Or
No.
he didn't do anything?
When I checked his head, it was fine.
Okay.
from now on, don't tell us the truth, and everything will be okay. That's fine.
That's fine.
We
know
understand
that.
that you're scared, and we were not lying to you here. We need to know the truth. It's gonna help us, okay, Melissa? And promise me one thing, that you won't lie again, and I promise you, we're gonna make things as easy as possible on you, as long as you don't lie to us, okay? Did you drop the baby?
Yes.
Did you slam him on the chair?
It just slipped.
He slipped? Why were you afraid to tell us he slipped? Did you slam him on the chair? You sure? You wouldn't do that? He just slipped? In the back, his head hit the back of the chair? Why would he have some brute? Did he hit the ground after that, or what happened after he hit the chair?
He seemed normal.
No, out of his body, so he fell out of your hands?
When I put him down, I took him out of the snack chair, and then I wiped him, cleaned him up, and then like when I put him down, the other chair was behind him, and I wasn't paying attention. He slipped out of my hands, and his head, he hit it.
How far did he slip?
Like a little bit, like right there.
Don't exaggerate it to make it sound better. If it's an accident, it's an
It's an
accident. You
accident.
gotta tell us
Right.
exactly, because we're gonna have to be able to prove
What
that.
you're telling us, scientifically, remember when I told you? So you need to really be specific about how he slipped and how far down he went.
It
So,
wasn't that far to a point where it slipped, like he fell off balance, and then he hit his head when he sat on the floor.
What did he hit his head on?
Wood.
A chair? A back of a chair?
Yeah.
And after he hit his head, did he fall onto the floor?
He fell, but he went through the crawl to get his blanket after that.
But
So-
he hit his head and then fell to the ground? And how were you standing up when this happened? Were you standing straight up?
Yeah, I was bending, I like, was like this, and it slipped,
Yeah, he slipped, Ben slipped?
yeah. And
Okay.
then I didn't, like.
And how low was the back of the chair?
It was like this tall,
Mm-hmm.
and like when he slipped, his head like hit back, like it leaned back.
If I show you a picture of the chair, would you recognize it?
The wooden table?
The one or wooden table that he hit his head on?
He hit his head on a wooden table?
Table or a
Or
chair?
the chair,
Which one was it?
the chair.
Did you, I got it right here. Did you change him prior to that?
No,
You didn't?
I changed them before snack.
What did you put him in the chair for?
I didn't, the snack,
Right, he
Table.
was sitting at the snack table, right?
yeah, regular
You
chair.
took him out of the snack,
When he was done, I took him out, washed him off, and everything else, and when I put him down, that's when I slipped, and it was right there between the tile and
did
the
you
carpet.
slip, or did he slip out of your hands? Did you actually fall down with him?
No, I didn't.
Did you drop him?
Yeah.
Okay. Where were you putting him back to, a different chair?
No, he
You were
was
bringing him
good.
to the floor?
I'll bring him to the floor when I.
Okay. And was that at the same time while Nancy left the room?
Yeah, she had her back turned.
She had her
was
back
doing
turned?
the dishes.
Did he start crying right away? He didn't scream or anything? And then, so you just, after that, what did you do?
I continued my normal routine.
No, what did you do with him? Did he just put him on the floor? And then.
Did you put him on the floor or did he roll onto the floor?
He went on the floor.
Okay, after he slips, hits his head on the chair, and then he's on the floor.
He started crawling
Where did he crawl to?
to the other chair recliner to get his blanket and then
Okay.
to the spot.
And then, after he got there, how long after that did you notice he was starting to kind of look sleepy?
Probably 10 minutes later.
Is that why you were keeping such a good eye on him? Because you were worried about him hitting his head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's why you were watching him? So you were watching him real close? Why were you doing that?
Because I didn't know if it took effect because he didn't show any signs.
And what was the first thing you noticed?
That he wasn't responding, like, he just looked really pale.
Okay, can you show her a picture of the chair? You got colors or? Cause I got color ones. Here, let me go get one.
So why do you think, just besides the normal fall, why do you think he hit his head so hard? But besides for that, because you lost balance?
He did.
He did? Was he like flailing in your arms or anything? No? Just you just dropped
I
him?
didn't pay attention.
When we talked to Nancy, is she gonna say he was screaming and crying and you were upset with him or anything like that?
Yeah.
Totally not the case?
Case. And she had her back turned, she was doing dishes when this happened.
And a couple minutes later is when she left the room. Did you tell anybody that you dropped him at all? Your sister or your boyfriend?
No.
Why not? You were afraid?
Alright, so let me find the chairs. Is that the room?
No.
No? Is this the room or this one?
No. No.
No?
That's okay.
All right.
We'll get it worked out.
Yeah.
So Nancy's not gonna say the last she heard of him, he was screaming and crying while she was washing dishes. He didn't do anything to frustrate you? Was this something out of frustration? Huh? No? How do I know you're telling me the truth?
Because he was fine. I wasn't frustrated. I was just taking him out, trying to hurry and get Paul out of the chair so he could clean up, and I just wasn't paying attention.
What do you mean by not paying attention?
Like where I put him, where I was at.
But I mean, I don't understand, like, did you let go thinking he was secure? Did you let go of him a couple feet early or something?
Yeah.
Cause you were just in a hurry, or? Cause I'm just saying stuff, you tell me, well, I mean, why?
Why? Because I thought he had his balance and everything, and.
So, so the chair was facing the other way? So he hit the back of it with his head and then he hit the floor?
And he went straight to, when I dropped him, the chair was like right there, and he hit his head, and then he just like leaned forward, and then after that,
Did he hit the front of his head when he leaned forward?
No.
But when he hit the back of the chair, when he went down to the ground, did his head hit the ground at any time too?
The forward, no.
So he hit the chair backwards, did his body go forward then? It did?
Yeah, when we get something, maybe you can show us exactly, because it's hard to explain, okay? So we're gonna use a chair and I'm gonna get you something, okay?
No.
All right.
So you didn't tell anybody about this? No? If you didn't mean for it to happen,
I didn't.
it's okay, okay? People make mistakes all the time.
Just show us how, and we'll use this as a chair.
So what were you doing? Where were you coming from with the baby?
The kitchen, I was like this, and I unbuckled him, and then I took
And you were
him.
standing in the back of the chair or in front of it?
I was like this.
Off
on
to the side, okay,
And I picked him up,
yeah.
and I was like this, and then I took him over to the sink to get his hands washed,
Okay.
and then I'm walking as I dried off his hands,
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't think, I slipped on the water or whatever.
So your hands were wet?
A little wet, and then like I walked forward a little bit, and there was on the other side of it there was a chair, and I put him down, like I wasn't even like really looking.
Well, pretend this is the actual chair.
This
That
is
his
the
head
chair
hits.
that I took him,
Okay. Okay.
and then when I put him down, his head went plunk.
No, well, show us. Pretend this is like a foot off the ground.
Well, when I put him down, I wasn't paying attention. I was like this, and then his head went plunk really hard because I dropped him. I lost balance, and like I just went like that, and then that's when he lost balance because it was on between the tile and the floor.
So you hit his head on the chair, and then he lost balance, and what, flipped out of the chair?
No, when I dropped him,
Right.
his head hit the back of the chair when I dropped him because it was so I thought he was gonna stand.
Mm-hmm.
And because he had almost the formation of standing up, and then when I dropped him, he went like this.
Mm-hmm.
One second.
All right, so you're doing good. Sit down. Just sit down for a second. Hey, listen, you don't need to convince Sean and I that you are sorry, okay? You don't. Your family loves you. They're gonna be very supportive. You're doing the right thing here. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. All right, sweetie.
I wanna see this though, again, I'm still
Yeah.
having some difficulty, I'm sorry, I know this is hard, but I gotta understand this fully. Show me exactly and describe everything, cause I need to get this through my head.
Okay. He was sitting.
Okay, this is a chair.
Right, that's the chair he was in.
Right.
Okay.
I'm standing on the side. I unbuckled him,
And then I picked him up. I didn't even have him facing me. I took him to the sink, wiped off his hands because he was full of graham crackers or animal crackers. And then after that, I was holding him like that. And then after when I was done, I wasn't even having my eye on him when I dropped him. Like, I went like this, and then he was like this, and then his feet were kind of like this, starting to stand, so I thought he was going to stand.
And this was on another chair?
No, it was on the floor.
On the floor, okay.
And then he lost his balance when I dropped him, because I thought he had it, and his head hit back.
So, let's say this is the floor, and we'll
Yeah.
say this is lower. Okay, look at this bar down here, okay? So he slips and he falls back and he hits his head on the chair like that? Is that it?
And then what happens to his body?
And then he just like,
Show us what the.
Show us what it is. So here, this is the chair, he hits his head on the edge of the chair,
yeah.
right? Slips and hits it, okay?
And then he leans forward,
Uh-huh.
and then after that, he sits back up, and then he walks toward, he's crawling on hands and knees to get his blanket, and that was it, and then he went to his spot.
He didn't fall again?
No,
So you put him down on the ground,
yeah,
and you thought, so
he
you,
had his balance,
did you drop him before his feet hit the ground?
no.
Very important to tell us that.
Did you?
Yeah,
did he
no, it was like tiptoe, like,
tiptoe?
yeah,
So his head fell back like that?
and hit the.
Did he go forward then like that at all? He caught himself? Because that doesn't seem like enough force to cause this,
And that's what happened, he hit his head, and I checked.
how hard did he hit his head?
I heard like, that.
Did the chair move at all?
No.
Okay.
So, how long after that happened did she go out of the room?
It was like a few minutes later. But she didn't hear nothing because she had her back towards she had her back towards, she wasn't facing me. She was doing the dishes. So it was like, I wasn't even paying attention when I dropped him. Because I had to get all the other kids out.
But you thought he was on his feet and you let go of him? Or did you drop him before his feet hit the ground? Did you think he was on the ground?
Yeah.
So his feet weren't on the ground? No? It's okay, but you gotta tell us this, how high off the ground do you think he was?
This is all gotta make sense.
Like this much.
Don't exaggerate stuff to think that it's gonna make your story better, cause it'll make it worse. Tell me
Yeah.
exactly.
It wasn't that much off the
So
ground.
you thought he was on the ground and you let go? Is that what happened?
And he fell like that and hit the back of his head.
Because he was like leaning, he wasn't like leaning forward. He was sitting up, like, he was like up like this, like straight up. And like when he fell back, I heard him hit his head, I did. And then he just like went, like he like swung a little bit forward onto the floor. And then he was like that, and sat back up. And then he just crawled to his blanket, and that was it.
And then when he got to his blanket, you were still keeping an eye on him?
Yeah.
And what happened?
He crawled to the chair, to his spot, and I was like keeping an eye on him, and then his sister and another kid went by him, and he was fine. They were playing and everything, and then all of a sudden, like a second later, you just see him stiff and pale, and I called him, and no response, so I went to him, and I told him, I was like, Ben, he didn't wake up or anything. I shook his arm like I said, and then I went to get the phone, and Crystal heard me, and that's when she came in, and I still was on the phone saying that I need help. And then Crystal said, Beth, I need you in here, like, right away.
And you didn't tell Crystal what really happened?
No,
Cause
I
we got two
said-
guys, we don't wanna find out that she knows all about this,
Yeah.
and that you lied to us.
You didn't tell anybody, did you talk to your boyfriend about it?
No, I swear not.
You didn't tell
I
anybody?
didn't tell
They're not in
anybody.
trouble if you
I
did.
know.
It'll actually, give us some, you know,
Yeah, no, I didn't.
witnesses to your story.
Yeah, no, I kept it to myself.
So, we're not gonna find, not that this was, your story is impossible, is this the truth?
It is.
It is? So he wasn't quite on the ground?
No.
You thought he was? You let go? Did he hit the back of his ankles and fall back, or did his back just start falling back right
No,
away?
he hit the back of his ankles.
And then he hit at the back of his head so hard, he came forward right away? Okay.
Are these the types of chairs, like in that bottom picture?
Yeah.
That's it?
It was this.
What did he hit it on, the armrest or the back part?
The back part of this chair, cause it was, kids, they know how to push out, and it wasn't the edge. Cause like here was the chair, right around here, and the chair was pushed out, and it was moved from the kids, and that's when he hit it.
Is that the table in the room?
Yeah.
That is the table? Okay. Can you just do me a favor and circle the table and the chair and just put your initials next to it?
So you didn't slam him for doing anything wrong?
No.
Huh?
No.
Would you do something like that?
Never.
Never?
Never.
So this was clear that you just weren't paying attention, you thought he was on the ground? I just wanna make sure, cause, you know, there's been a couple stories, I wanna make sure this is your final one. That's why I was asking you if you told anybody.
No.
Okay, give us a minute, okay? Everything's gonna be alright in the future. You're gonna be happy that you got this off your chest, okay? Just give us a second. Melissa, did the chair, when his head hit the chair, where was the chair in relation to the table?
It was moved away from the table.
And what happened to the chair after his head hit it?
And you just heard a loud noise.
It didn't move, the
It
chair?
kind of wiggled, and that was it.
It wiggled?
Yeah.
Are the chairs real heavy?
No.
No.
Yeah.
It just wiggled?
Yeah, because it was on between the tile and the carpet. It was on like
The chair?
Yeah, the chair. There's like a curve where that stick of it was standing on it, and when you hit it, the thing wiggled.
What kept the chair from like falling back if his head hit the top of it?
The weight
The weight of what?
of the entire chair, the bottom of it, it wasn't light at all. It was probably heavier. It was heavier than the top part.
How heavy do you think the chair is? I mean, is it a heavy chair to pick up and move?
Mm-mm.
Or you just think the weight kept it from moving? Okay. Do you think he weighed more than the chair? Okay. Be back in 1 second. Was the chair, the legs, is it 4 legs or is it, did you say half of them were on the wood and half was on the tile and half was on the carpet?
There was the center part, and right there was a line where the tip of it was at, where, it can wiggle. And when you hit it, it like moved, but it moved back.
The chair moved back? So, if this was the chair,
Yeah.
he hit it, it has 4 legs going to the ground, are all the legs on carpet?
No, they were on, the 2 legs were on the tile, and then the other 2 was like, it was like sideways, in other words, like this, and, it was like this actually, cause like the chair and everything, the blanket, is
Yeah.
where he was trying to go at, and like when I dropped him, I wasn't paying attention, and then this was like on the rubber part to cover the ceiling, or whatever, the round of the cement and the carpet, and like he hit it, and the thing went, it
Okay.
wiggled.
Okay, I'll be back in a minute, have a seat.
talked to the doctor, the pathologist is easy, and does the autopsies and does all the measurements, and we've got a couple of concerns about how far Ben fell and the chair, whether it was stationary, meaning solid. Okay. What do you mean?
It was on the corner of the rubber, where it was splitting the carpet, the tile, and
The
he had
threshold.
the hole, and one leg was on it, and then it was the little building seat.
No, that's not what, that he's just wondering, like, where you dropped the baby from, how high the baby was off the ground. The chair
When I
was
dropped
pulled
it.
off from the table, you said?
Yeah, they pushed him out,
Mm-hmm.
and when I dropped him, he was like this much off the ground.
You mean that bottom of his legs were where your hands were? The bottom of his legs were?
Mm-hmm.
So he fell 2 feet to the floor?
Okay, now, okay, so it was a little higher than what you told us. The bottoms of his feet were about, it looks like about a foot and a half off the ground, so the top of his head was probably about 3 or 4 feet. Okay. And did the chair move when he hit it?
It moved back,
The chair did?
yeah, it moved on the tile.
Okay.
What they're gonna do is they're gonna bring that chair over here, and then, the doctor, either over here, or they're gonna bring the chair to the doctor, and he's gonna make sure that this is possible, cause they could tell exactly if that's what caused, the injury. But we wanna make sure